welcome to my channel. Welcome to my very first video. So today is just a little introduction to my Sims 4 Thorne family. But yeah, so if this is the first time you're seeing me, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really appreciate it. Or if you've watched the other episodes in the season and I'm naming people and you're like, who on earth are these people? And now you're watching this. Thanks also. If you like any of my videos, make sure you give them a thumbs up, and if you want to continue to see them, definitely subscribe. And if you have any opinions on anything I say or do, definitely let me know, because this household, it's not mine anymore, it's ours. So if you want anything changed, definitely let me know and I'm more than happy to do it. But anyway, let's move on to the main part of the video. See you soon. Here we have Lara and Brett Thorne. They are the current queen and king and they live in Del Sol Valley. At the start of this season, Lara is 77 years old and Brett is 80. But before I explain the current generation, I'm going to give a backstory into the Thorne household, beginning with Clara and Joey. So Clara was the first sim made in this game. I created her in 2022, and basically how my world works is that the day Clara was created is the year 0, and 1 year is 5 sim days. It means that Clara was born in 19 BC, as in before Clara. I actually made that up just then. Clara and Joey get married and go on to have 4 children: Greta, Elijah, Nicholas, and Olive. Due to this being a matriarchal society, I have chosen that the last born female is the heir to the throne. Before we follow the royal line, I'm just going to quickly talk about the other 3 children of the second generation. The second born, Elijah, was born in 35, had no children, and then died at the age of 50 from lung cancer in 85. He was a freelancer. Next, the third born, Nicholas, was born in 40, also had no children, and died at the age of 61 in 101. He died from sadness, actually, because one of his dogs died, and he was an animal lover, and he owned the vet clinic, which still exists today. And then finally, the firstborn, Greta, had a son named Archie in 55. Throughout her lifetime, she was a doctor. Her son Archie then has twins in 81 called Flynn and Quinn, and then dies at the age of 50 and 105 from sadness because his wife died the year before. He owned the restaurant Rose and Thorne, which still exists today. His children, Flynn and Quinn, both then die at the ages of 68 in the year 149 of old age. They were actually spies throughout their lives and separated themselves from the main family. Now the final born and heir to the throne, Olive Thorne. She was born in 44 and adopted 2 kids, Destiny in 64 and Boston in 66, when she was 20 and then 22. Destiny was a scientist and had no kids of her own. She then died at the age of 47 in the year 111, which is actually so young now that I think about it. Oh my god. I'm guessing that at the time I got sick of playing with Destiny's and Boston's households, so I probably just killed them off, to be honest. And then 2 years younger than Destiny was Boston, and to be honest, I can't actually remember what he did as a job. I want to say he was a chef, but I'm not entirely sure. He also had no children and then died at the young age of 55 in the year 121. And then Olive gave birth to Lara, the next in line to the throne, in 77. Unfortunately, Clara died at the age of 67, so she wasn't able to meet her granddaughter Lara. And then Olive dies at the age of 61 in 105 after a 38-year reign, making Lara the new queen at just 28 years old. 49 years, 3 children, and 6 grandchildren later, here is Queen Lara and her husband, King Brett. Lara, who is a part of the 3rd generation of Thornes, is currently the oldest living descendant of Clara. Lara is now retired, but throughout her lifetime, her career was a trendsetter. She went to the University of Bridechester and graduated with a degree in art history and a degree in fine art. Brett is also retired, and he went to the same university, earning a language and literature degree and becoming a private attorney. After getting married in 101, they had 3 children together. Heinrich first in 104, then Uzi in 105, and finally Sadie in 108. From left to right we have 4-year-old Uzi, 5-year-old Heinrich, 32-year-old Lara, 1-year-old Sadie, and 36-year-old Brett. Everyone is 9 years older in this one. And then 9 years older again. Their children, who are now in their late 40s, have all moved out and had their own families, while Lara and Brett do pretty much nothing all day. You'll find I won't be playing with this household very much because they're a bit boring right now. Anyway, so focusing more on Queen Lara, her life aspirations is jokestar, and her traits include goofball, creative, cheerful, and self-assured. I would say she's very extroverted and enjoys spending time with friends and family. I would say she has a very strong character and is a very kind person overall. Lara was born Saturday night in winter 77, making her a Pisces, which I find aligns with her very well because she's very intuitive, sensitive, and empathetic. Moving on to King Brett, his life aspiration is Renaissance sim, and his traits include cat lover, cheerful, jealous, active, and perfectionist. I would say he's a bit more reserved than Lara, and he's a Capricorn, so he's very patient and dedicated. Here we have Princess Sadie, her husband Connor, and their 2 children, Prince Rhys and Princess Penelope. They live next door to Sadie's parents, Queen Lara and King Brett, in the Pinnacles, Del Sol Valley. At the start of the season, Sadie is 46, Connor is 44, Rhys is 18, and Penelope is 14. Sadie is most definitely the dominant one in the relationship, and Connor is a bit more quiet, but what they do have in common is that they unfortunately were never cut out to be parents. They mostly let the nannies raise their kids, and now that they're teens, oh my god, they barely see them. This is partly because they both work a lot, but it's mostly because they couldn't care less, honestly. But Penelope is probably the, I guess, favourite and talks to her parents the most. Well, that's if they're ever in the room together, but Rhys, I don't actually remember the last time he even spoke to his parents, so yeah. Sadie and Connor have a lot of ups and downs, you know, throughout their marriage, so, well actually, I wish Penelope and Rhys luck for their futures because they haven't had any positive role models so far. But anyway, the couple got married in 133, then had Rhys in November 135, and then had Penelope in June 139. Sadie is 35 in this one, Penelope is 4, Rhys is 8, and Connor is 34. This photo was taken 5 years later, and then 5 years later again. Sadie studied at Brightchester like her parents. She did communications and now works in public relations. Connor, on the other hand, studied economics at Foxbury Institute and is now an environmental manager. But who cares about that? More importantly, Sadie is a part of the 4th generation of Thornes, and her life aspiration is mansion baron. Her traits include goofball like her mum, active and perfectionist like her dad, and materialistic and bro. I would say she's very strong-headed and guarded, as in she doesn't show her emotions. And this may have been because she grew up with 2 brothers and she was the youngest in the family, or she was just born with it, which also makes sense because she shares a lot of the same traits as her parents. Also, she's a Leo, which makes so much sense. Apart from the fact that Connor's life aspiration is also mansion baron, you could say Connor is the exact opposite to Sadie. His traits include perfectionist, socially awkward, and loyal, making him a bit shy and reserved. He was born Saturday in winter in 109, making him a Gemini, which I don't think makes that much sense, but oh well, what can you do? Connor was actually born into the Robles family. I don't know how to pronounce it, which anyway, I think is one of the original families when you start a new world, which is so cool, no? Here is his current family tree. Also, if you know any more relatives that belong in their family tree, for example, Natio's parents, please let me know and then I can add to it. Moving on to the kids now, Reese's life aspiration is country caretaker because I plan on him living on a farm with lots of animals with his cousin when they're older. He has one trait, which is ADHD, and he is a Sagittarius. I would say he keeps a very small, circle of friends, having some of his dad's socially awkward tendencies. He most definitely prefers to be by himself, like he is constantly riding his bike. But also, in my opinion, he is super intelligent. Probably, I'd say the second smartest out of all the cousins, and maybe even the entire family from the beginning. Penelope is the second in line to the throne, and her teenage life aspiration is admired icon. Her one trait is perfectionist, which she gets from both of her parents, but I'd say she's very determined, a hard worker, and just like a well-rounded person, She has a really close group of friends, and she's a Cancer, which means she should be emotional, but I think, growing up with Sadie and Connor as your parents, you might want to hide that trait a little bit, so that's why her star sign doesn't align with her perfectly. Here we are in Brindleston Bay with Prince Heinrich, his wife Hayley, their 3 children Imogen, Xavier and Talia, and their cat Holly. At the start of this season, Heinrich is 50, Hayley is 46, Imogen is 20, Xavier is 18 and Talia is 15. Heinrich and Hayley have a pretty good relationship, but it's a little boring, to be honest. I'd say their lives are very simple without any conflict or anything, which is good, They got married in 130 when Hayley was only 22, which I think is so young, but to each their own. I mean, I say stuff like that as if I wasn't the one making those decisions. I find that so funny, actually. Silly me. Anyway, from left to right in the back row, we have 1-year-old Talia, 31-year-old Hayley, and 35-year-old Heinrich. And in the front row, we have 6-year-old Imogen, 4-year-old Xavier, and their 2 cats, Honey and Hazel, who died 6 years ago in 148. Which was really sad actually. But 10 years later, this photo was taken, without Holly though, because they didn't adopt her until 3 years ago. Heinrich studied computer science at Foxbury Institute and is now a computer engineer. And Hayley is a stay-at-home mum, and she writes and publishes books in her free time. So going into more detail, Heinrich was super distant from his family growing up, and he only really got along with his brother Uzi, which is why he doesn't live in Del Sol Valley with his parents and his sister. He was really intelligent and always excelled at school, but despite that, his life aspiration is actually soulmate, which I think is so cute. His traits include cat lover and perfectionist like his dad, as well as snob and geek. He is also a Libra. Hayley's life aspiration is best-selling author, and her traits are creative, family-orientated, cheerful, and romantic. She's also a Taurus. I would say Hayley is just an overall kind person and a nice person to be around. Like, she's never done a mean thing in her life. Imogen is the firstborn, and I would say she's a very loud and outgoing person. She's definitely extroverted, like she hangs out and goes partying with her friends a lot. She was never the closest with her parents for really no reason at all, to be honest, but she does have a really good relationship with her auntie Crystal and has picked up a lot of her traits, like being independent and liking electronic music. Anyway, her life aspiration is serial romantic, and her actual traits are creative like her mum and lactose intolerant. She is also a Cancer and currently studying fine arts at Foxbury Institute. Xavier is very quiet within the family because he's the middle child and has 2 overpowering sisters, but he gets along with his mum a lot, and I'd say they're pretty similar. His life aspiration is country caretaker, and his traits include family oriented, orientated like his mum and good. He's also a Libra like his dad, and in the future I plan on him living on a farm with his cousin Reese. Finally, the youngest sibling, Talia. She was really talented growing up, so I would even say she is the smartest in the entire family, like starting from the beginning. She gets along with both of her parents, maybe her dad slightly more if I had to choose, but her life aspiration is Renaissance sim and her one trait is perfectionist like her dad. She is also a Taurus like her mum. Here we are in San Myshuno with Prince Uzi, his wife Crystal, and their son Jasper. At the start of this season, Uzi is 49, Crystal is 47, and Jasper is 12. Crystal and Uzi honestly have such an amazing relationship. I think they're perfect for each other because they're both strong, fun to be around, and like emotionally available, I guess you could say. They met when they were in high school as well. They got married in 135 when Uzi was 30 and Crystal was 28, and then 6 years later they had Jasper in November 141. In this photo from left to right, Jasper is 3, Uzi is 39, and Crystal is 37. And then 5 years later this photo was taken. Uzi studied art history at Foxbury Institute to then become an arts critic, and Crystal studied communications at Foxbury Institute as well to then become a journalist. When Uzi was a child, he was super fun and outgoing and was definitely the mediator in the family and got along with everyone, even if he didn't feel that way deep down. But yeah, well, that could actually be because he was the middle child. Anyway, his life aspiration is city native, which I think sums him up really well, to be honest. Like, even though he got along with everyone, he probably did want to get away from them as soon as he could. But also I think he's the type of person who's always looking for the next best thing and likes to be in the middle of like craziness, which is what I think of the city. So yeah, his traits include cheerful and creative like his mum, as well as self-absorbed, romantic and active. He's also a Scorpio, making him passionate and intense. In a positive way though. Crystal's life aspiration is fabulously wealthy, and her traits include adventurous, ambitious, perfectionist, and active. She's also an Aries, like me, making her bold and energetic, which isn't actually like me at all. Well, actually, I can be like that sometimes, but I don't think I'm an Aries at all, to be honest. But anyway, so obviously she's a very determined, confident and hardworking person. Jasper is an only child, and I would say he's a little bit reserved just because his parents are so, I guess, overpowering and strong-minded. But anyway, he is still a child, so he might change when he gets older, but his current life aspiration is artistic prodigy, probably getting that creative side from his dad. And his one trait is glutton, which is a bit random, I know, but I like to make things interesting. Actually, you know what? I'm pretty sure when he was an infant and you could try all different types of foods in the high chair, I'm pretty sure he liked every single one of them, which is very unusual. So that gave me the idea to give him the glutton trait. I also actually could not care less what traits the Thornes who are not in the direct royal line get. So I'm happy to give them traits that we never use, like, I don't know, erratic or evil. I mean, it could just be me that doesn't use them, but yeah.